What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all dance groups mixes from since 90.
And risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost for having me on for Lunch and Learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there with the hats. But we start
special needs children and disabilities.
I have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructing what we took part in deconstruct. All of street maintenance. That's how we came up with street maintenance.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition yet. We're not in a competition.
What's going on, Juneteenth family? I am your host, Kiara, aka EMVG, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Lunch and Learn session. We are here today. Happy National Poetry Month to all my poetry lovers out there. Today we are in for a good treat. I promise you this. So, with great pleasure and nothing but love and excitement, I am honored to introduce to you today Mrs. Diana Fuller. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a true testament to life's dedication of growth and power, with over 35 years of being a devoted mom, a wife, just a educational figure in our community. She's created this balance that's just like remarkable. Earning degrees from BMCC, Medgar Evers College, Long Island University, Diana's 26 years of her journey in education range from paraprofessional to teacher to dean and now a retired guidance counselor. The Department of Education reflects her commitment to personal and professional development. And as a retiree, we're talking about National Poetry Month. I'm talking about one of my favorite poets out here. She finds time to embrace and focus on her passion for writing, having authored 5 books that reflects her love for poetry and storytelling. Her works from Lessons from Mommie's Heart to Chapters A to Z, Alphabet Poetry, they just continue to inspire and connect with the readers and just uplift us in so many ways. So transitioning and flourishing as an author is natural, as just a lover and a giver, that's natural for her. Can we please welcome Miss Diana Fuller to the stage?
Hi, Kiara.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Session. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn session. We are excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we jump into anything, I want to give you a chance to give us a little bit of background and insight of, who you are, your upbringing, and how do we get Miss Diana Fuller today?
Okay, well, Brooklyn born.
Mm-hmm.
I am descendants of Caribbean.
Okay.
Also Southern. My mom, who is my total inspiration for writing, because she was amazing as a writer. And I remember being in school and having to have a project and, Ma, I need to do this. And I swear in 5 seconds, she had a whole lineup of words and poetry or story or whatever it was. And I gained my love for writing at about 11 years old. I would sit in my Uncle Herbie's den. We weren't really allowed in there, but I used to go in there just to get away from everybody. I would make up stories and write poetry and just look at the tree-lined lawns and just write. It was my escape.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I stopped, but when I became a guidance counselor, actually, when I became a teacher, I found that poetry could help my students to learn. And that's how Lessons from Mommy's Heart came, because many of those poems in that book were hers.
Mm-hmm.
And it inspired my kids to learn. It helped them to remember, because we turned some of the poems into chants, some of them into songs.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. And then I started writing more after I did the collage work to create illustration for Lessons from Mommy's Heart.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Mr. M. Scott Johnson, he said, "You don't need an illustrator. You love doing collage work. Illustrate your own books." And I was like, he's onto something here.
Yeah.
So from then, I just started illustrating with collage work. And I love it. I love writing. I love how it helps to motivate people and
Mm-hmm.
also to inspire people. Um, it's just wonderful.
Absolutely. Let's dive into. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Your career and education before we get into. Well, I know it all ties together because you have so many different roles that you play. But your career and education, how has your role in the DOE shaped your view on the educational system and the core curriculum of learning? Because just to piggyback off of what you said, you use your poetry to help, with the learning and your class structure and things of that. So how has your role, shaped your view of that?
I feel like when you inspire others to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and because I was a special education teacher for quite some time, everybody doesn't learn the same way.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go above and beyond to figure out how to meet your students where they are. And I never forget what Regent Adelaide Sanford said. She
Mm-hmm.
said, if they can't learn the way I teach, then I will learn to teach the way they can learn. And
Mm-hmm.
that has been one of my models, like, since forever, because I feel like everybody can learn. You just have to figure out how to reach them and how to get them, inspired. People need
Yeah.
confidence. When they're not doing really well, you can't, go at them really hard. You
Yeah.
have to figure out how to make them understand what it is you're trying. And sometimes you have to break things down. Sometimes I remember having a student, he couldn't read, he didn't spell well, and this was when I was a second grade teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but he loved to draw. So the other teachers, because I did inclusion, the other teachers would, no, leave him, let him draw. I would
Mm-hmm.
allow him to draw, and then I would ask him to tell me about what he drew.
Mm-hmm.
But as he's telling me, I would write it down. Then I would let him copy what I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kept that process going. And next thing you know, now he's reading his sentences of the story that he told.
Uh-huh.
And then he just flourished from there.
Yeah.
He said, "Wow, I'm allowed to draw. Now I had him making up stories
Mm-hmm.
based on his drawing." So it's about meeting people where they are and having the patience and the compassion to stick it out and to help them build their confidence and inspire them to do better. Because
Yeah.
everybody can learn something.
Absolutely. And the longevity of those valuable lessons, and just like you said, meeting people and being patient, and giving people grace. I know you use the word grace a lot. Giving people grace in their cap of what their abilities are. What do you think is some of the most valuable lessons? I mean, of course, with that being one, but just from your experiences in education, what are some of the other most valuable lessons that you've learned as an educator on a professional side and a personal side that you've used?
You have to really love what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to want to help. It's a service, it's a position of service.
Yeah.
And you must be able to be of kind heart when you service people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you bless others, your blessings are going to come.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And that just takes us to what I was going to ask you next, because paying it forward, right? Paying it forward, showing up for others, supporting others. How has the support, I know you mentioned your mom at the start, the very start, how has the support of your family and your friends influenced, your continuous growth to be able to continue to help others as well and just impact your professional journey as a whole?
Everybody is, just giving me my space to do what I need to do. And I like to prepare way in advance for certain things. And just being able to have my husband and my daughters and other family members to just understand that I mean business, and I'm gonna just do what I need to do. And you're gonna help or you're not gonna help, but I'm gonna get it done. It's gonna
Right.
get done.
Yes. Either you're gonna help or you're gonna get out the way, because this
Yes.
So in your love for so much, I know that for people that don't know, I know this lady very well. So we've been able to work on projects together. And just, I know that you're crafty in so many different ways. What, outside of just, being a great teacher, you mentioned your collage work. Can you share with us some of your other great habits and hobbies and things that you're good at? Because I know you do collage work. I know you do decorating. I know you do, can you give us some of that?
Well, I started out doing costume jewelry before I was in the DOE, and floral arrangements. I can do, I'm an excellent cook, love to cook. So between catering, floral design, I can put together an event for anybody. Also, I like just helping others make things beautiful. I did some decorated denim jackets for children. I used to do that for my girls. And then I think it was last Easter, I said, let me see if I still got that crafty hand. And I put together a couple of little Easter baskets, and the bunnies had on decorated denim jackets. So I'm a crafter. I do wreaths. I do floral arrangements. What else do I do? Well, I'm interested in starting a greeting card company.
Okay.
Because I want to put my godfather, Frank Taylor, he told me that, my poems were so amazing that they need to be on greeting cards.
Absolutely.
So now, all somebody needs to do is give me an idea, and then I'm about to run with it. So I've been collecting paper and collecting different little, the things you do the scrapbooking with. So soon we'll have some greeting cards coming out for all occasions.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Okay. And you kind of stirred me right into where I'm going, the greeting cards. So just your transition from education to becoming a successful author. I see in the background you have some of your books behind you.
Yeah.
Tell me about that transition. Tell me about the process. What is your writing process like, and how do you get in the zone? And do you know prior to, like, okay, I'm about to write a book, or is it just you just start writing and then it turns into a book? How does that work for you?
Well, actually, with 25 years and family, I was actually taking a course at Cornerstone Baptist Church with Sister Cinnamon, and I believe it was called the Dissemination of Writing or something to that effect. And she asked us to think about writing some poems. Me being the eager beaver that I am, I went home that night and spirit just hit me. And I wrote both of those poems. My mother was like, "Oh, you big show off." I was like, it just came to me. 25 years I gave to my husband as an anniversary present to him and my daughters. And it was just about us, family. And then family came about because we lost one of my cousins, Stephanie, to breast cancer, and she was only 41 years old. And I mentioned Uncle Herbie earlier. That was her dad, and we always spent our summers away from home, or anytime vacation time. We were in Jersey, in Freehold, New Jersey. So that family poem came out of the love for my Williams family. That's my maiden name. And it just was, spirit just leads me sometimes.
Yeah.
When I started working on the alphabet poetry book, again, I just took a notebook and I wrote the alphabet in it. And then the next thing you know, I was just putting random titles to the letters. And I would carry this book with me wherever I went. Or if I'm on the bridge, or if I'm riding in a car or somewhere, sometimes a picture will just, spirit just leads me. That basically, that's really what it is. Spirit just leads me to writing. And it just influences my motivation. If I see a certain thing, or somebody may say something, a phrase, a term, and I'm like, ooh, I could see that as a poem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that spirit, I just, it's God. It's a gift from God.
Godly work. It's godly work.
Yes.
It's divine purpose.
God is all up in this. Yes.
Got you.
You know, and it just, what happened was I had a Poets Chat and Chew Club when I became a guidance counselor, because I felt like all students that didn't have counseling, they needed an outlet, and it would help me to see who was in need based on how they wrote.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't always talk about what they're going through or what they're feeling, but they will write about it. So I had my students come at lunchtime with their lunch. We would eat lunch, we would read poetry, we would write poetry. And at the end of April, we would do a big poetry slam. And when I started doing that with the students, that inspired me to write more. It was like, let me just really get back into this and see where I could go with this. You know what I mean? And I love it. I love it. I love writing.
Fire. So as an author of 5 books, Lessons from Mommy's Heart, Family, 25 Years, Chapters A to Z, Alphabet Poetry, and Visions of a Painter, Thoughts of a Poet, which one of those books are your favorite and why?
My favorite, I would have to say Chapters A to Z, because the different poems, when I read them, like sometimes I do a pop-up at Rococo Designs. Shout out to Rococo Designs on Livingston Avenue in Brooklyn.
Yes.
When I read poems, I see how it touches people. I've had people break down and cry after I've read a poem to them. And that just warms my heart to know that my poems have that effect on people.
Right.
You know, most of them are motivational and inspirational, but some tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Because of whatever is going on in that person's life. And I always say, pick a letter. And everybody always picks the letter of their name. So when they do that, they go, oh my God, that was meant for me. And it's like random people. I don't know these people. They come in and out of the shop. But when I say pick a letter, and they pick a letter, and then it relates to something that's going on with them or in their life.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's amazing.
And that's the beauty of poetry to me. And I was excited to have this conversation with you because we sit and we could talk about poetry and words and influence and, just the power of words. The title of this session today is The Healing Power of Poetry. I want to ask you, and it's a 2-part question. What does poetry mean to you? Like, why poetry? What does poetry mean to you?
Poetry means free expression. I love butterflies. Butterflies are free. I just feel so free to say whatever it is that's on my heart, whatever it is that spirit guides me to say. It's just a free writing, free expression.
Yes, yes, yes. And with that, I feel like, just like you said, it's oftentimes people, you may not verbally express yourself in the extent that you want to, but the ability to be able to write something down is it just shows growth for me, because even with they say admitting things, or saying things out loud, are the first step to admitting it and realizing it. But for me, it's writing it down. When I visually see it from writing it down, that's a step for me. So what advice would you give somebody that maybe they feel like they have something to say? Because I it's therapeutic for me. It's my form of
Yes,
therapy.
definitely is therapeutic. Yeah.
Right. So how do you, and being a guidance counselor, what forms of poetry or writing styles or advice can you give in the form of therapy? Like what does that do for the mind, for the body, for your soul?
Well, when you just write what you're feeling and you speak from your heart, then that will guide you. Once you start, sometimes it's really hard to stop. Like
Word.
things just start flowing, and I would just say whatever's on your mind, whatever you've been holding on to, if there are things that you're holding on to, like you said, things people don't say, if you're holding on to something, write it down, you
Yeah.
know? And if you can't finish it all in that first session, then come back to it. Because there are many times like I'll start writing something and then, get that writer's block and it'll stop. But then a week later or a month later, you may want to go right back to it, and it just flows to pick up where you left off. So
Yeah.
I
And
would
I was
just say
actually
you
about
have to
that.
put the pen and paper in your hand to get
Fact,
started. That's
fact,
it. Get started.
fact. I was gonna mention that too, something about writer's block. As a writer, that's something that's real, and it happens,
Yeah.
sometimes often, sometimes it happens scarcely. But when you are dealing with writer's block, what are your outlets, or how do you just step away from it, and when it come back, or do you practice any kind of exercises to kind of get your
Um,
mind flowing outside of writing?
I would say like sometimes set the mood, maybe
Mm-hmm.
listen to some music, light a candle, just get your atmosphere in a peaceful, serene, setting.
Yeah.
A lot of times when it's really quiet, like sometimes you have to put the phone down and turn off the TV and
Mm-hmm.
just it's almost like communing with God,
Yeah.
you have to get still,
Yeah.
just get still and you'll be surprised how things will start flowing. The other night I was trying to come up with a wellness project that I want to share soon with the Department of Education. See, DOE, I'm not done with y'all yet, and y'all not done with
On,
me.
come on.
So I was thinking about this wellness project that I want to put together, and I thought about it for a while, and then the other night I just went crazy writing. I just started writing, writing, writing. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm gonna be ready to talk to some people and see how we can get this, because mental health is something else.
Real. Right.
And everybody, I know what it is to be in the classroom. I know what it is to be in the school setting, and it's not always an easy thing to do. And I
Absolutely.
know that the teachers need some wellness, mental health exercises, and we can do it through poetry. We can do it through aromatherapy. There's so many different ways that we can present this, and
Yes.
I'm about to come out with it.
Yes. Yes. So in the comments we got Anna. She said, "A lady of many hats." Yes, back queen. I never knew you had all these books. I have two, but I have to catch up. The power of words, writing is healing. Yes, for sure. Because um I also want
Thanks, cuz. Tell my cuz I said thanks.
I also wanted to talk about just the impact of, you mentioned earlier, sometimes when you're reading your poetry, people they respond to it so on the emotional side, and just how emotional poetry and writing is, just overall writing is very emotional. And when you pour into it and give it a vulnerable state of transparency, it shows, and with dealing with certain emotions, and you mentioned mental health in your upcoming program and things of that nature. How do you deal with your mixture of emotions? What form of self-care do you use for yourself? How do you pour back into yourself with just making sure you're good?
Well, I love taking a hot bubble bath in a candlelight room, bathroom, with a glass of wine and a glass of ice cold water, because the hot flashes is gonna come. being that that water is so hot, and just sometimes just listening. I love listening to the violin is like my favorite instrument now. Violin music. Shout out to Demola. I also love gospel music. And Yolanda Adams, she always puts me in my place. She always puts me where I need to be, whether it's to encourage me. I had to listen to her before I came on here. I don't know why I was so nervous, but listening to music, candlelight, just sometimes communing with nature. Self-care, what else? Every now and again, I love to get a good massage, a nice hot stone massage for aches and pains that I've been dealing with. But that's basically it. And dancing too. Dancing is a way to like just release any kind of stress, or I want to get into more working out. D-Fit, she's hard though. She's hard. She's rough. That's my daughter.
We had D-Fit on.
I want to work out with her a little more once I can get this energy going. But and just sometimes just sitting still. When I worked for the Department of Ed, I always was still in school and working 2 jobs, like through my whole career. So now sometimes I just want to sit and do nothing. You know what I mean? Because I literally, even when I retired, I had just finished a program certification in mental health counseling. So not only did I do school counseling with Alfred University, I did the extended program to do mental health certification. So up until the time I retired, I was still a student. But I love learning. My grandfather used to call me a professional student. So I love learning. I'm probably going to find something else to go back to school for, knowing me.
As you should. You stop learning, you stop growing. So I say continue to learn. And just to comment back on what you said, sometimes being still is all the movement that you need. Sometimes the quiet is as loud as, it speaks volume in what you need in your processing system. So I definitely, and I was laughing and joking about it the other day in conversation. I said, I used to know it wasn't a new song that was out that I didn't know, or wasn't, something that was going on that I didn't know. And I said, but I need to get back into that in a sense of just, the knowledge. But I enjoy getting in the car and riding with no music now. At some point in my life, I thought that would be impossible, but just having the quiet time and having time to be peaceful and just be with my thoughts, or just, to clear my mind. I find that gives me, value when I do revisit something or go back to something. So I absolutely agree with you on that. And coming off of Women's History Month, shout out to us for doing it every day, because we as women, we hold it down every day. It's not just a 1 month thing. But I wanted to talk to you about and we often talk about just the superhuman ability as women that we have, just to keep going, just to continue in where these if I may, strides pridefully of like, yeah, that happened, but it don't stop. How do you continue to do that with balancing so much? You just said, I was still in school, I was still doing this, I was still doing that. As a woman, where do we find a balance? How do you think we handle all of these things so gracefully? And how do you just continue to do it?
Well, when you love people, you do what you can for them, and love motivates you to make sure. Like I had a routine where I would cook on Saturday or Sunday, but I would cook enough for the whole week.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't come home and cook every day,
Yeah.
especially if I was in classes. So you have to just figure out what works for you. You know what I mean? You have
Mhm.
to push through, and it's not always easy being a superwoman
Yeah.
or a phenomenal woman.
It's
And
never easy.
speaking
Right.
of phenomenal women,
Yeah.
today is Miss Maya Angelou's birthday,
Come on
and
now.
I'm representing.
Come on now. And I was gonna ask you who is your, we could piggyback
Yes,
that and go into,
representing Miss Maya Angelou
who
today.
is your
I'm like, Kiara didn't even realize. She said
look at
she
the
wanted me to
irony there.
start.
Look at the irony there though. Look
Yeah,
at
with a God. Because
yes.
I was in the closet cleaning out the closet, and when I saw the shirt, and then I looked at it and I said, wait, isn't that the day Kiara said she wanted me to kick off National
Mm-hmm.
on the Lunch and Learn? Look at God.
Yes. And speaking of Miss Maya, I know she's one of your favorites. Tell me a little bit about your love for her work and just her excellence.
She's just amazing, Um, still I rise. That has left us, you know, with motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost going to be 10 years in May that she's left us. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But just that statement alone,
Mm-hmm.
till I rise. And all women, speaking of women and doing all the things that we have to do, we have to know whatever we do, we can still rise. We can
Yep.
rise above anything and everything.
Everything.
So that's it in a nutshell. Still I rise. I had, even when I realized that it was going to be her birthday,
Mm-hmm.
I think I jotted down one of her quotes.
Come on now.
Let me see if I can find it. No, I'm not the most tech
And
savvy person, but
I was watching, and I mentioned this to you, but I was watching
okay, look at this one. It says, and I liked it because it had a certain word in it, and I know you're gonna know what the word.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use up creativity. The more you use it, the more you have.
Mm.
Deep, right?
Definitely.
Creativity. And
Definitely.
I'm Miss Creativity. I love being creative.
Yes.
From the way I do my reefs to the way I do my candy buffet tables, from the way even cooking. Sometimes I'll just throw things together. It's about being creative.
Yeah.
And some people say, "Oh, I'm not creative." Did you try?
Yeah.
You have to try. You
And
never know how creative you are until you try. Because I didn't think I was creative. I found my creative side during a horrible time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And I
So
think that just going off of the word, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, of God, and just the spirits, and letting God guide you. But dark times create beautiful times. It's just like it's no sunshine without the rain. I just told my daughter yesterday, she said, "Mommy, it's raining again." I said, it rains a lot in April. She's like, "Every day?" I'm like, "No, not every day, but April showers bring May flowers." Sometimes we have to water things for them to grow. And she's like, okay. But I thought about it, and just thinking about what you said, the birth of greatness happens in dark times sometimes,
Yes, it
and,
does.
and what we perceive to be, challenges are just things that's going to accelerate and help us have the ability to deal with this at in an easier way the next time it comes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the real growth is. And I think, that's just a part of life, of course, but we live and we learn.
Yes, ma'am.
You stop learning, then you ain't living. I don't know.
That's the
I
truth.
don't, I don't know. You stop learning, then you ain't living. And I just picked up, I thought about it. I said, what's my favorite Maya quote? And I quoted in my book, I said, this is a quote from Maya herself. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Just like we talked about earlier. And I re-quoted after her, and I said, I've grown to love myself. I love what I do, and I love exactly how I do it. I want to ask you, what's your favorite part of you?
My favorite part of me is my determination.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part of me is being a nurturer,
Mm-hmm.
providing love and help to those in need.
Yeah. 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 And it comes naturally with what you saying, with the determination earlier, and your mom's ability to think quick on her feet and come up with a concept. I know that if I'm thinking of something, you're a person, and just having the circle around you of people that you could lean on when you need help of, I got this idea, I'm trying to figure something out, or I'm determined to make something happen. Just that extra motivational push of a call to somebody like yourself to say, nah, you could do that. What? We're going to put it together and do this like this and do it. It shows both sides of what you just said of, just the determination and the nurturing side of your favorite part of you. What are you most proud of, professionally and personally, in your journey?
Okay, I'm proud of my 26 years as an educator,
Mm-hmm.
not just a teacher, as a guidance counselor, and just uh, the love that I've provided for my students. They always knew that I had their back. I'm still in touch with quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And I had a program called the Diamonds, dedicated individuals achieving many opportunities, never doubting self.
Come on.
And I look at a lot of those young ladies that was in that group on Facebook, and they are phenomenal women, mothers, working people, and I'm really proud that I had a hand in guiding them into having the confidence and to be stable, to
Yeah.
start raising families, and just to motivate them. And I know that they appreciated it,
Yeah.
and I appreciate them for being, open and receptive to what I had to say or what I had to give.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in my personal life, I have to say my two beautiful daughters,
Mm-hmm.
as well as my grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
my grandson Isaiah, my granddaughter Aaliyah,
Mm-hmm.
and my Deandra and my Desiree. They're a part of me, you know, and I'm very proud of who they have become. They're kind, they're loving, and they're motivated.
Yeah.
They're motivated to do their own thing, and they're gonna leave a mark on this world as well, or all four of them, because it's like having four children. My grandchildren are my babies too.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
speaking of Deandra, as we spoke with her a few weeks ago, she told me about your upcoming project that you guys are working on together. Can you please reiterate for anybody who may have missed that? I know you guys are working on a cookbook.
A healthy cookbook.
Yes,
Which
tell us
is
a little
going
bit
to
about
be
that.
infused with poetry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be infused with poetry. So longevity is the key. And I wrote a poem called Longevity. There's a poem called it's basically about fruits, another one about vegetables, another one about grains, proteins. So we're working on that. It'll be ready soon, hopefully before the summer. And I'm excited about that. Deandra has picked up my love for cooking, but she's doing it in a cleaner way, or a healthier way, I should say.
Yeah.
So she's starting to put these little recipes together, and she wants to take this to a whole nother level, and not just have one cookbook, but maybe a series of healthy cookbooks and break it down into different categories.
Yeah. I definitely think that that's amazing. And just like you said, taking on, your greatness as a cook, but doing it in a healthier way. I think that just as a whole, and I've had this conversation last week as well with one of our guests, that just as Black people, we need to pay attention to things of that nature. We so soulful in everything that we do, and soulful doesn't necessarily have to mean unhealthy. It
Right.
can
You're
mean,
right.
it can mean that we're eating cleaner so that we're around longer, so that we're able to continue this so longer. And
Yes. I experimented a little with that when I was a guidance counselor, because not only did I have a poets chat and chew club, but I also had a cooking club.
yes.
And when it came close to New Year's, we're talking about greens and how that's a part of soul food. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm gonna try to do these greens without meat. And I did it collard greens with mushrooms. And they turned out you couldn't even tell that the dead on ham hock or the neck bone was not in there. But I put mushrooms in with the collard greens, and it turned out really good. So there's ways that you can cook healthier and still have your food soul food. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And that's just, it's a process. Of course, it's not an overnight thing, but we need to pay attention to those things. So
yes, definitely.
I appreciate you all putting that in and coming up with this concept and this idea and putting this into play and into the universe so that people can use these recipes to just, work on our health and work on.
Yes, it's about longevity.
That's a fact. I want to talk a little bit about I know that you also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention your managerial position in helping Situation, which is an organization. Can you tell us a little bit about your love for that and what you just take on roles and you do them effortlessly without without much help, but tell us a little bit about your managerial position and Situation and what Situation is about, things like
Okay. Situation is you, Kiara, the DJ, my daughter, Deandra, the personal fitness instructor.
Yes.
And y'all give people 2 reasons to sweat.
That's a fact.
And I just like that you guys want to give back to the community. So any way that I could help you guys, gals, give back to the community, like when we did the breast cancer awareness walk, and inviting you when I was in the DOE to the schools to do career day. So you guys made career day phenomenal. Those kids will never forget it. And if anybody wants to see it, they can go on YouTube and check out Situation. Just put in 2 reasons to sweat and it'll pop up. You'll see Rock Street School, you'll see MS 57. And you girls, just because you want to give back, I don't mind helping you. Put that out there to give the kids something to do. It shows them that they can be healthy too and have fun.
Yeah.
You know, my other school, 262, that's where I first started teaching.
Yeah.
And you guys go there. Now it's become a yearly event where you go and you celebrate Juneteenth with them. We did their 60th anniversary
Amazing.
to celebrate, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna get back out there. Actually, it was crazy because with the wellness program that I want to put together, I want Fituation to be the part 2. I
Yeah.
want to go in and give them the wellness workshop and then let them have a Fituation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're working
Situation
on
to make
that.
it a real situation.
Yes, I have to get in touch with some of my people in education and reach out to them so they can not only work on the wellness program, but we got to get Fituation in more schools. We need Fituation in more schools. And it's not only for kids, it's for adults. They can do a family day, have it, you know. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna hit more of these schools with Fituation and the wellness program.
We working on something. We working on
Yes.
something. We got somebody who just let's check out some of these comments real quick. I see them going up as we were talking. We got Annette again. She said this Lunch and Learn is a healing program I look forward to every Thursday. Thank you, Kiara, for your questions that you ask your guests. And we love what you're doing. You're beautiful and smart. Thank you. We also got, is this Athenia? My favorite mind quote, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can control what you decide not to be reduced by them. Yes. I agree with that. We got DJ Basic says, when you write your feelings and speak from your heart, things flow effortlessly. Write down what you've been holding on to. That's a fact for sure. And I wanna just kind of before we got to close, because time always goes by so fast when you're having fun, of course. But I want to just talk about any upcoming. I know we often talk about things that we see that need to be done in the community, but two more things. I wanted to talk about any upcoming things that you think the community could use, as far as with poetry, as far as with, you know, putting together events. I know we have they've been talking about the defunding the libraries and things of that nature. And we often talk about how much reading impacts your life, you know, and makes a difference in kids' lives growing up. What do you think is needed in the community to help with, you know, just providing the outlet for poetry or for poets to have a platform to just, you know, speak or get together and write together, or, you know, anything of that nature? Do you
I
have
feel like maybe more community centers, you know, maybe community centers where kids can go, and, you know, not just for writing, but for a number of things, activities to get some of these kids off the street, you
Yeah.
know, and to keep them from just, you know, playing video games all the time. You know, they need more community centers.
Yeah.
You know, maybe some of the schools could offer free programs even on the weekends, not just open a school for testing. Like they open a school on Saturdays for testing, but what about opening some of the schools on Saturdays for other programs for the kids to have an outlet, kids that want to be rappers or whatever, because rap started with poetry.
Come
It's
on now,
all
that's
about
exactly
words,
what it is.
you
We got
know. So, and then some of the, you know, like they may open it up for basketball or football, but what about the other kids that are not athletes?
the arts.
Some of the kids that are artists, people that may want to draw or paint or write poetry or cook, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like if the schools could open up on Saturdays for other things other than just testing and sports, or we could get more community centers in the areas, low income areas, you know, and maybe offer programs like that, that would help.
Absolutely. And it starts with, I know you from the era of you know, it takes a village.
Yes.
And that's for sure. But even back in the 90s and my era, I feel like my era of the 90s was the last golden age of, like, just kids growing up and really having real community, because just as you mentioned just now, technology is a beast. So you got my 3-year-olds on the iPad and know how to work it and know how to work my phone and FaceTime and this and that. We have to have a hold on what these kids know, the resources that they have, and what they're able to do with that. So I think we need to figure out who we need to talk to, some elected officials, some,
Yes.
whoever, community affairs or community departments and things of that nature, to be able to put things like this together. Because even poetry slams, or just like you said, outlets of people to be able to just explore the arts outside of just sports, that's something that is useful in our community and needed in our community.
Yes,
and
definitely.
the examples of me and you and everybody else that's willing to, just show guidance. Guidance is a counsel through people that are willing to step up to the role model position. So I think that we all need to have a little play and a part in that. One of my favorite questions to ask, as you might know, what is one thing you feel you owe yourself now? Was one thing you feel you owe yourself later? And was one thing you feel you owe yourself one day?
Okay. So what I owe myself now is more self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What I owe myself later is happiness and peace of mind.
Okay.
And one day is what I owe myself: freedom to travel the world as
Ooh.
a best-selling author.
Yes! Come on. I'm with it. I'm with it. I see. I was already with it with the travel, but when you add the best-selling author, it just projects to a different level.
Yes.
So, let's get there. Let's and I often think about, and I was thinking about it just real quick briefly, of what does it take to be a best-selling author. You can have the best book in the world, and it may not get across to everybody that you may think or you may want it to, because of certain things. And I said the logistics of promotion nowadays, and marketing and things of that nature. How do you go about marketing or promoting your book? I know
I'm basically
very
still
hands
trying to
on.
figure that out, but most times I walk with my books everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I don't care where I am, I got a couple of books in my bag.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just, starting a conversation with somebody. Oh, do you like poetry?
Mm-hmm.
Bam, here's a book. Check out my book. So
Yeah.
I just try to keep books with me. Two of the books, the last two books that I did, chapters A to Z, alphabet poetry,
Mm-hmm.
and visions of a painter, thoughts of a poet. I do have it in Rococo Designs, like I said, where I read poetry at times on
Mm-hmm.
Lewis Avenue, so
Mm-hmm.
people can get it there. Because I'm not very tech savvy, I didn't know how to put it online, but I'm gonna lean
As of
towards
yet, right?
learning how to
But
get that done, to see if
exactly.
I can get it on a platform, on a online program.
Yeah.
And but basically just walking with my books and talking about them. And I want to create something online where I can read poetry with music, instrumental music to the background, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that will spark something where people can say, "Oh, that poem is really nice. I need that
Yeah.
book."
Yeah.
So it's still a work in progress.
Yes. Yes. We still learning.
Yes, ma'am.
We still learning. Who is your favorite hip hop artist? As a poet, Who is your favorite? What lyrics? Who's your favorite lyricist?
No, I didn't really ever have a favorite hip hop artist.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a young person, when I was younger, I really wasn't into hip hop. I'm an old soul, so I always liked old music. But I do like LL Cool J and Queen Latifah. But
Okay.
as far as a lyricist with hip hop, I'm gonna have to say Nas because he came out with "I Know I Can Be What I Want to Be," if you work hard at it, you know. And I love it that he had children involved in that. And it was positive.
Yeah.
So as far as that, then I would have to say Nas because of that song. I love what that did for children, motivated them. I'm about the children. I'm about motivating the children.
Got you. What do you want the community to take away from today's session?
If you need healing, search deep inside your soul and find the words to help heal yourself. Heal thyself, because you can do it. You can rise, like, here we go again. You can rise above anything. Still I rise. Miss Maya Angelou said it. We can rise above anything. You have to just make the time to do it. Do it for yourself. Because if you don't do it for yourself, who's going to do it for you? You have to love yourself enough to take care of you. And if it's through word, song, dance, whatever, just people need to learn to love themselves. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else?
Come on.
So that's
we should. I didn't even want to get into love so deep with you today because I know that that's a conversation. We would have to be on the Lunch and Learn for at least 3 hours for us to dive deep into that. But yes, I agree with that 1,000,000%. And you know, love is everything.
And that's what we need more in this world, because the people are losing their mind, stabbing and killing and shooting and
see, I knew it was gonna get you
station. Like, come on now, enough of that.
We gotta get.
Why? Tell me why. You know, that makes no sense. People need to love more, and when you love yourself, you're gonna know how to love others. You gotta first love yourself.
Yes. And lastly, before we get out of here, on the Juneteenth platform, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Okay, Juneteenth means freedom and legacy. And you know I had to write a poem, right?
Come on now. I knew you was going to give it to me. Come on.
I did an acrostic for Juneteenth.
Come on.
Justice, unleash, new evolution, transform, explore, endeavors, nostalgic, triumph, hallelujah.
Come on now.
Free. You like that, right?
Yeah, nice. Let's give it up. Come on. I know I wasn't even gonna ask because I knew you was gonna come with it somewhere within today's session. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yes, that
before we get out of here. Yes, before we get out of here, let me just give this information real quick to all of my vendors that's tuned in with us today. April 10th, we have another vendor information session. Okay, that's April 10th at 7 p.m. Make sure you tune in. We still have some opportunities for you to join us in the Juneteenth Festival and be a vendor. We got fantastic perks. We have payment plans. We have things of that nature. Join this information session and you'll be able to get all of that amazing information. And to my models, April 6th is now the new date that we've extended the deadline for all the models out there. Okay, so please, if you're a model and you're interested in walking in the fashion show that will take place during the Juneteenth Festival, please hit us up, let us know, fill out the application and submit that. You have until the 6th. And for all of my glam people, my hair, my makeup artists, your application is April 30th. Okay, so make sure you tap in with that. Go to our website and you can go to our social media pages and click and you'll be able to get that information. Diana, Miss Fuller, Mrs. Fuller, this has been a pleasure. I appreciate you kicking off National Poetry Month with us here on the Lunch and Learn session. You know, you're always welcome back. Just give me a holler, let me know when. And please let the people know where they can follow you. I know we have your Facebook and your email.
Diana Fuller on Facebook. My email is dianafuller59@gmail.com. And my Instagram is dianafuller59.
Yes. Nothing but love for you. Make sure y'all continue to tune into the Lunch and Learn Sessions National Poetry Month. I am here. I'm excited. Make sure you follow me on all platforms at FabAMBG, at I Had a Praying Grandmother. Make sure you get your book, I Had a Praying Grandmother, for National Poetry Month. And that's my time. Until next time, next week, same time, same place. We'll be here. Lunch and Learn. Juneteenth, we out. Thank y'all for tuning in. What's going on, Juneteenth family?
I have to take the lead because if I don't now, when will I do it?
These are all dance groups mixes from since the 90s.
And risks are important. Risk creates results.
Make sure that you surround yourself with not only the word, but with positivity.
Foremost, for having me on for Lunch and Learn.
We start off by wearing all of the hats. Pun intended right there.
I have over 30 years plus experience as a quality professional.
We basically reconstructing what we took part in deconstruct. All the street maintenance. That's how we came up with street maintenance.
I almost had to deal with MCA Records at the age of 19.
Wait
I also partner with other daycares. We're not in a competition here. We're not in a competition.